Welcome to the Life with Kring on Air, a podcast about purpose, parenting, and people. In here, we hope to talk and collaborate on how to thrive in the 30s with your 30-something host, Trisha Julio. Hello, friends! Welcome to another episode of Life with Kring on Air. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, relationship. Before that, I would like to thank all of you for the overwhelming support. My love tank is full with your kind words. Keep it coming, please. Your suggestions are awesome. Looking forward to more. On that note, below are the first 5 topics received which will be talked about in the upcoming episodes. First, what are the adjustments made to accommodate the first bundle of joy? 2, how to brought up the topic of marriage in a long-time relationship. 3, how to find your passion. 4, how to stay productive in quarantine. 5, how to get over the initial hesitation of organizing the first ever Barkada e-bonding. Once again, thank you so much, friends, for the great suggestions, and I do hope that I could really do a podcast over the weekdays, but considering my previous workloads, I doubt it. But who knows? God always find me time to do the things that I love to do. So, without further ado, let's get to the topic that we will talk about today, and that is relationship. The question that I will leave you today is how to brought up the topic of marriage in a long-time relationship. I think this is a bit sore topic for me because I have been there as well. First thing first, let's define things. So how long is long? The long that we are talking here is around 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years is pretty good range of relationship. And then find ourselves faced with the anecdote or belief about the 3-5-7 relationship rules. Per Google, so what is a 3-year itch? A phenomenon where tensions rise and couples are forced to either part ways or adopt. Make it or break it. 3, going to talk about here is the making thing. It's not the breaking. Because we all want to keep the relationship, right? Especially if it's 5 to 7 years. We have already invested a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings. So who would want to break the relationship? First thing first. For me, I'd like to always start with the positive. But right now, to end our talk on a high note, let's start with the negative first. Don't you ever do this, right? So you guys, listen to this. These don'ts are very special to me because this is actually what I did when I was in a relationship before. So I want you to know these first so that you don't do this in your relationship. 1, don't marry for the wrong reason. I have to sigh on that one. Because, we were talking here about 5 to 7 years, but as for me, a 3-year relationship is already long. So, on Migo and I's relationship, which is now the husband, at 3, I wanted to marry already. So, I kind of pressured him into marrying me because I thought it could help me escape my family responsibilities. So, that's very wrong. Because, go back to number 1, don't marry for the wrong reasons. Marriage is a totally different thing, guys. So, I've been married for 5 years now, and I've been happily married, but I still think that in 2012, when I pressured the husband into marrying me, I think he just picked the best option for us that time. I was 25 then and was very insecure about a lot of things, and I've been so addicted to social media, and I see a lot of people getting engaged, having babies, and I feel like there's nothing happening in my life. At that time, I was giving money for my brother's education. Then my mom is also so toxic, and like I felt like I was carrying the whole world, and the only best thing that is happening to me is my relationship with Migo that time. So I thought that if I could forced him into marrying me, then maybe he would take me away from the horribleness of my life. Thank God for Miko, he didn't give in to my want. Instead, he offered me a second option, and that is to enjoy my life to the fullest. Migo helped me realize a lot of things that helped change my mindset on marriage and family responsibilities. And from that time on, I realized that it's not actually all about my family, that sometimes as a breadwinner of the family, you also have to have something to, or to give a little something back to yourself. Because what happens to me is that because I am so responsible in providing for my family, I forgot to provide for myself. And that is why I'm so sad and so jealous of other people around me. And I was 25 then. I was actually thinking that I may be experiencing a quarter life crisis that time. Thinking about it now from this perspective that nothing is happening in your life, don't be sad. Because I don't know about others, but I've been through what you have been feeling. And believe me, it will pass. It's just a phase in your life where things are just messed up, or you want to do a lot of things because 25 is the midpoint of your 20s. But it's gonna be different when it's 30. And even if you're in a long relationship right now and you seem to be stuck into it, don't just give in. Don't marry for the wrong reasons. I beg you, have pity with your significant others, or have pity with yourself. Step out of that mindset that marriage could make you happy. Step out of that mindset that marriage can make you complete, because it won't do that. Number two, don't be pressured by external forces. I know we've all been there, attending a family party, and then aunts, uncles, and other relatives will come up to us and ask us, where are you getting married? You're like, how old are you? You've been nearing 30 and yet you are not married yet? What is your plan for your life? So I've been through worst, I guess. And it's worst because I was once a person who always listened to what others say to me, especially if that's my family or relatives. It was a nightmare. Not a nightmare before Christmas, but a nightmare every family gathering, that it almost want me away from attending family gatherings. So what I did in that one is from focusing too much on what others will think of me. Instead of feeling pressured of not being married on the timeline of my aunties or uncles, on the timeline of my mom, I just went with my life. And once they asked me about marriage, I just shared to them how happy I am with my wonderful life. Like, I've been to these places and I've been conquering mountains and all. And I know they didn't understand me at that time, but I just want them to know that I am happy where I am, so that they will stop bugging me about marriage, especially those times that they are asking me when I am getting married and then when I am having a baby. That's another conversation for another time. But for two, don't be pressured. Don't be pressured for anything, external forces. You can the pressure from you is already enough, and you know where you are. Don't just give in to the pressure of external forces. Our families, our friends, our whoever that is around us, they are just there to just say anything, and it's up to us to take in what they are saying to us. Let them say anything, and then just don't take it in. Number three, don't put an ultimatum to the relationship. This one, I had it very weekend, because starting year 3, almost every year, I would ask Migo to break up with me because it seems that our relationship is not getting anywhere. I feel that we're just having the time of our life and we're not even preparing for our future. And it wouldn't make sense because, as you may have remembered, I was 25 when we were 3 years in the relationship, and I was just starting to explore our wandering. And the mindset has changed, but the planner in me and the wanting to be assured in me wants to do it in parallel. So I wanted to live my life to the fullest, but also plan for the future. And that is where some of our hardships began. And that is why every year I would suggest that we would break up. But my husband is just, I don't know what's in his DNA or something, but he's just the most patient, and especially to me, maybe I think he's just patient with me. And every year after year, he would always remind me why we don't have to rush a lot of things. So later on into the marriage, I asked him about those times, and then although he can't remember the exact specifics, unlike me who always remember the tedious things, he just told me that even at that time, he was already thinking about marriage because in 2012, we already have our mortgage condo then. So we got the condo. It was in my name, but since he was the one with no obligations for his family then, while I had like a lot, so he was paying the condo mainly. So what I contributed back then is just the money that I paid for my rent, and the rest he paid for it. So I was always joking to him at that time that he looks like he is my sugar daddy. So I was living in the condo, only paying the rent of a so-so boarding house. So that's it. And I don't know when I stopped putting an ultimatum to our relationship, but I think it continued for a while until finally he cracked open and decided to give in. I don't know really what he was thinking, but I asked him main reason for engagement aside from wanting to settle down was that he realized and noticed that I was already ready to get married because from that time in 2012 where I was still so stuck up with the busyness of my responsibilities at home, and there's still a lot of issues in my life, and then thankfully all straightened out in 2014. From 2012 to 2014, it just seemed like 2 years, but for me it felt like forever. So it was the 2 years of turning points from 2012 2013, and then we got engaged in 2014 and married in 2015. It was hard, and I advise you guys not to put ultimatum to your relationship because you don't know what your significant others are thinking, and you are lucky if you have someone who will understand the ultimatum, but it's rare for guys to just understand us women, so you better be careful. And if you do decide to put an ultimatum and you notice that your significant other or partner is reacting badly to it, then maybe it's your sign that you have to, just think and made an option. Welcome back to Life with Green on Air, and I was just done with the don'ts in a relationship. So as I recall, number 1, don't marry for the wrong reason. Number 2, don't be pressured by external forces. Number 3, don't put an ultimatum to the relationship. At this point, we are going to talk about the 3 do's. So these are somehow related to the don'ts, but not really opposite of the don'ts. So let's get it started. Number 1, do assess current situation and responsibilities. Are you ready for marriage? Do you have enough in the bank? Are you still supporting your family? These are the questions that you should be asking yourself when you are in number 1. And as for me, as we recall, I wanted to get married in 2012 while I was 25 years old, and obviously not very ready for marriage because I don't have money in the bank, like zero. I don't even have money to use for my wanderings, and I'm still very much supporting my family. Technically, they are all still dependent to me. So it was very wrong for me to post on marriage because I am so not yet ready for that. What I did is, instead of focusing myself on marriage, I tried to reassess my current situation and find ways in which I could relate to my family that I wouldn't be supporting them for the long run. It's very hard to share that to your family being a breadwinner and they are kind of relying on you for everything, but if you do one step you do little things at a time, it is achievable. Wouldn't be fast, but it would be achievable in the long run. So that's very important because um, family responsibilities could be a main issue when you get into marriage without sorting that part out. As a Filipino, it's very common in relationship in marriage right now that one of the causes of issues within the marriage are the family responsibilities. It's either for the girl or for the boy. So you should be straightening that one out before you get into marriage. So do assess your current situation and responsibilities. Number 2, do share personal plans to the significant other and be sensitive with his response or reactions. So this one, do communicate. It's very important that you communicate to your significant others on your personal plans. As for me and Migo, we are very different when it comes to planning. Most of the time, my life plan always consists of a 5-year plan. And as for Migo, he doesn't even plan for the next month. So for him, it's just wing it off. And for me, I always want to have something planned. So it took us a while to find a compromise, but in the end, because I'm very vocal and from the start of our relationship, I'm not very vocal because I tend to have that Maria Clara attitude where I just wait for him to do things, and Migo is slightly different because he's the type of guy, not an alpha male, he's just a little passive. Me, I am an alpha female, so it's kind of hard to put a compromise between being very strong as a woman and trying hard to help your husband step up into his inheritance, because as we all know, it's the guy who always leads the relationship. That should be the case. And if it's the women, it's actually also nice, but the architect of marriage or the architect of relationship should always be the guy leading the relationship, because as you may have remembered or it might have been mentioned to you, the blessings from God goes into the father, which is the husband, then into the wife, then into the children. If I followed my rule before of women empowerment, including in the family, so I don't know if our marriage will be this awesome. It took me a while to finally, and even right now, it's a constant change to just think of the husband first and submit. It's just very hard to submit to him, especially when he is a reluctant leader. Maybe in the next episodes, I could talk about how the submission has helped me into becoming the wife that I am to Migo right now and the mother to Onyara. So yeah, do share your plans to your significant other and then watch out for his reactions. Don't push your plans to him just casually like, this is my plan for the next 3 years, or you go do this or that. And then if he doesn't think so, don't be angry. Just be nice and casual about it and ask him why. It might be he has a bigger reason for it, or maybe that's your clue that you have to move on. Don't worry, sister, or don't worry, brother. There's always a lot of fishes in the sea, and then if you lose this one fish, you could always find another fish. And you are a child of God, and I'm sure there will be more fishes in the sea. So, right now, what you have to do is talk to your significant others about your plans. And that's it. Number 3, do open up on uncertainties and assumptions towards the relationship. So this is very important. Don't be assuming. Ah, I couldn't stress out how this assuming put me in a bad light in my relationship. Not only with Migo, because growing up to be assuming, like, there are a lot of things that shaped me as a person who is always assuming things. So even in the relationship before, I would just assume things. I hate to communicate. Like, I hate to say what I'm thinking to people. Unlike now, where I am very vocal about everything, sharing a lot of things, I am not actually like this before. That's why I have my blog, because I want to share, but then I'm not really comfortable in sharing to other people. That's why I just write about my feelings. But in the long run, I realized that if I'm not gonna talk about my feelings, especially to Migo or to anybody, it would just come back and hunt me in the long run, because they wouldn't understand and they wouldn't know how I'm feeling. And it's very important for the other person to know how you are feeling. But there's a way in which you will communicate that. Be kind. Always, always, always put kindness first in whatever it is that you want to share, especially if it's a bad habit. Like, for example, in the earlier part of Migo and I's relationship, I really hated it that he's into gaming. Right now, I'm like the very supportive wife of a gaming husband who also plays with him. But before that, I actually use that on him. Like, ano, what is it? Is it your game or me? Something like that. And it doesn't void well for us. It's not actually don't do that. You, as a significant other, please support. You should be the number one supporter of your significant other, because if you don't support your guy, then who will support him? If he can't find it from you, he will look for it with others. But fortunately for me, as I have mentioned, Migo is kinda a different breed, so I know he has a lot of adjustment with my limited mindset on gaming before, but he is very patient with me. And then later on, it just took me to realize that I have to reciprocate the level of patience that he is giving me. So he is empowering me to do things, and as a result, I am also changing myself for the better. Not because he wants me to change, but because I love him. That's why I have the change. So it's not in my list, but aside from communicating what you don't like with your significant other, like, for example, Migo would also tell me things like how I should act and everything, which is very hard for him because I'm not very receptive to criticism. I hate it when I'm criticized. Like, because I have this mentality before that I am perfect. I'm so good. God is with, that sort of thing. So I'm not very receptive to criticisms. And besides, why would he criticize me when before I, what do you call this, the go-getter personality in our relationship? And then he will call me out on being late. I will just say to him, why are you calling me out on being late? You are very, very late. That, and why are you calling me out that I don't have a plan? You don't even plan for yourself. But then, as we went older with our relationship, we find a common ground. And then right now, into the marriage, we realize that we are very, very different. That common ground was shaped because we always open up to our uncertainties and assumptions towards the relationship. That's it, Guys, thank you so much for listening, and I do hope you really learned something from the things that I'm blabbering about. To wrap it up, each relationship is unique. Never compare your relationship to others. Even if you have the same term, like you are in a 5-year relationship, because believe me, it is not the same. So don't. And also, don't quote me on these advices as they are purely personal realizations when we were going through the same thing. Apply with caution. The husband and I have passed that phase with only a few scratches, but it doesn't mean that yours will be as well. Just be expectant of good things to come. When the going gets rough in the relationship, always remember that things happen for God's reason. The next step after romance should be marriage. It is a very sacred covenant, something that shouldn't be taken lightly. Make sure you are truly ready when you do decide to take it. As usual, thank you for listening. God bless you always, and remember, put God first and the rest will follow. Before closing, I would like to personally thank the friends who expressed in words about their feelings for my podcast. I appreciate you a lot. Keep it coming, please. I really need your advices on the topic to talk about. I can talk a lot of things, but it's very hard to think of a topic that would help you. Thank you so much.
This episode of Life with Kring on Air was brought to you with love and prayers. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to hear more, please subscribe and share what you think at lifewithkring.wordpress.com. And as always, have a blessed day and remember that we are not made to survive, but we were made to thrive. Happy Thriving, friends!